All right, and we are live. What is up, Undroppables Nation? We are on episode 5. Yeah, we are on episode 5 of A Best Ball Draft a Day Keeps the Doctor Away. Today, we're talking upside versus safety. What's the correct way to go about these best ball drafts? We know which picks are safe, but should we be shooting for upside? Let's draft a team while we discuss this topic. So let's go ahead, share the screen. We got our, oh my God, okay. Can't see my screen with my sunglasses on. Just trying to be cooler than I actually am, but it's okay. My girlfriend's laughing at me. Do you think I'm cool, Brindy? No. Uh-oh. Okay, we're waiting for 10 people, so we actually have quite a bit of time to wait. It's filling kind of quickly. Okay, so some quick notes. I'll actually just go ahead and start off the stream by saying, gotten a few questions of like, what is this platform? I mean, if you don't know about this platform already, it's Underdog Fantasy. We're drafting these best ball teams because this specific tournament has a $10 million prize pool. That's a lot of money. Someone last year won $1 million by winning this tournament, and this year they upped that price to $2 million. And if you have the highest regular season score, you also win $1 million. So a lot of opportunities to win money. I'm a degenerate, so I'm going to be spending all my money on trying to win that cash at the top. Wow, this draft is filling really fast. But okay, another note. If you want to be entering into these drafts and you haven't created an Underdog Fantasy account already, I highly suggest that you create an account using the promo code Undroppables. You're going to get a free $100 if you do that. That is 4 Best Ball Mania drafts right there for free. Use the Undroppables, you get a 100% deposit match. If you deposit $100, you get $100 in Best Ball or just Underdog credit. So you can do with that whatever as you please. If I were to get that money, I would just dump it all straight back into best ball drafts because you have an opportunity to turn that into some serious cash. But okay, what pick are we? Are we 12? Ooh, okay, we got the 12 pick again. This is interesting because we got the 12 pick on one of these live streams last time, and Derrick Henry for some reason fell to the 12 spot. So like we couldn't pass up Derrick Henry. If one of those elite running backs falls to 12, like you can't pass on them. You have to take that value that is basically gifted to you. But in the 12 spot, typically I like to go 2 wide receivers or Travis Kelce in a wide receiver, and kind of use that 0 RB-ish, hero RB-ish build that we talked about in yesterday's episode. We want to be going for upside, and that is the title of today's show. We're going to be focusing on stacking upside players. I'll just go straight off and say it. We want to be drafting a team that is just full of upside, full of guys that can take the roof off of a fantasy week. You want a guy that can score you 30 points, 40 points, 50 points. If you have that guy on your team that week, you're going to win. You're going to be doing really, really well. So in this scenario, that's why like guys like Christian McCaffrey going at 102, who hasn't really performed the last 2 years. That's because we know what Christian McCaffrey can do. We know that he can perform at a 30 points per game sort of player. So betting on a guy like Christian McCaffrey at the 102 is exactly what you want to be doing in these drafts. That's why guys like Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase. I mean, it makes sense for Cooper Kupp, but maybe you're not as bought in on Jamar Chase going in the top 5. The fact of the matter is Jamar Chase is one of those guys that can just score 50 points in a given week. And that is the upside you want to be betting on. And you want to just be stacking that upside throughout your entire draft. You want to be just stacking the guys that can score you 30 points in a given week. We don't necessarily let's take, what's a good example? I don't know. The first guy that comes to mind for me is like Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry is a great, great player in fantasy football. I know I've been trying to get Jarvis Landry because he goes like pretty late, but let's take Jarvis Landry, for example. If Jarvis Landry was going earlier, I don't know if there's anyone off the top of my head that is coming to mind right now for guys like that profile, like a Jarvis Landry type player, but someone that just gets a lot of receptions in the underneath routes. Actually, Keenan Allen's a good example. I talked about Keenan Allen a little bit yesterday, but Keenan Allen, he's super consistent. He will get you 17 points, 18 points, 19 points, almost any given week, but it's very rare for him to see weeks of like 25 plus. And that's why I prefer Mike Williams in best ball, whereas in a seasonal redraft league where I'm setting my lineup, I would prefer a Keenan Allen because I like to bet on that consistency when I'm setting my lineup. But this is best ball. Our best lineup is set for us every single week based off the guys who are on our team. So that's why I prefer a guy like Mike. Damn, Travis Kelce went. A guy like Mike Williams that can score you 30 points in any given week because he is taking. So here we have again, Najee Harris is falling. I don't think that, okay, Najee Harris got taken. Ooh, Zooey mama. Okay, we'll go Devontae and CD or Mike Evans. CD or Mike Evans. All right, we'll go CD. I've actually been, I've done a few drafts where I start my drafts off CD Lamb, Mike Evans, because I think Mike Evans and CD Lamb both have the potential to finish as the wide receiver 1 this season. Devontae Adams also obviously has an opportunity to finish as the wide receiver 1. He should be, or he definitely will be, Derek Carr's number 1 wide receiver. He has that college connection back at Fresno State with Derek Carr. I'm super excited to see what Derek Carr and Devontae Adams can do together, just because like Devontae Adams doesn't typically run those deep routes, but he's such a good yak player. He's such a good player at just getting open no matter who is defending him. So I am super excited to get a player that's going to be playing in the AFC West who like we should just see shootouts in literally every single game. CeeDee Lamb, I'll talk a little bit about him. He's another one of those upside guys. Like Amari Cooper just left town. So CeeDee Lamb is going to be a huge beneficiary. Dallas actually scored the most football points out of any team last season. And I don't expect that to change at all. This offense is super, super high powered. Amari Cooper just left. Michael Gallup is going to start the season on the pup. Maybe may miss even more than 6 games. So CeeDee Lamb is just going to get at least 10 targets every single game. I'm super excited for CeeDee Lamb this year. I own him in a few dynasty leagues. He is one of those guys that like everyone is expecting him to basically just blow the entire NFL landscape, just blow it all up, because CeeDee Lamb hasn't really been talked about too much in the actual NFL space, but he is talked about a ton in the dynasty space. People are touting him as the wide receiver 3 in the dynasty space, even though he's never even finished as a wide receiver 1 in fantasy. There's huge potential opportunity for CeeDee Lamb this year. Dak Prescott's going to throw the ball a ton. He's going to be looking for CeeDee Lamb at least 10 times a game. So I have CeeDee Lamb locked in for like 170 targets this year, maybe even more. So super excited. Go get CeeDee Lamb if you can, especially in the second round. I got him at 201. If he falls to you in the second round, even further past than that, draft him every single time. I'm going to be looking to stack Dak with CeeDee Lamb. Also going to be looking to stack Derek Carr with Devontae Adams. This is what I'm talking about when we're betting on upside. These two players, super high upside players. Like maybe CeeDee Lamb, maybe you're saying, oh, because he's never finished in this range before. And he's never finished as, what did I take him at? Like the wide receiver 5? Took him as a wide receiver 6. He's never even finished close to that. His top finish is what, like a wide receiver 18, wide receiver 17, something like that. He hasn't obviously played every single game, but we're betting on that upside. We're betting on the fact that he's going to see a ton of targets. He's going to see a ton of targets in a super high-powered offense, an offense that loves to throw the ball. They threw the ball 70% of plays last season, and they have a super high, fast-paced offense. So we want to be betting on guys like CeeDee Lamb. Okay. How many picks away are we? We're at 10 picks away. Let's go back to our actual. Forgot about doing this again. Whatever. If you guys also want to be like, you want to have this sheet as well, it's publicly available to people. Just join the Undroppables Patreon. You don't even have to have a account to have access Actually, you might need a paying account, but I think it's very, very cheap. It's like $1, $2 a month, something like that. But you'll have access to the Undroppables database, and that is where this model output sheet is stored, as well as all my model inputs. So if you want to have access to the sheet as well, I'm sure you guys can just like go back and watch these videos and just kind of like write in all of these things. But if you don't want to have to do all that work yourself, this is stored in the Undroppables database and can be found in the Undroppables Patreon. But okay, let's see who's the top. Damn, I have not been following this. Let's see. We got Devontae, our third ranked player. That is huge. CeeDee Lamb's going to be lower on here just because he hasn't finished in that same range as some of these other guys has before. But because CeeDee Lamb has Amari Cooper leave town, he was the wide receiver 1. So now CeeDee Lamb profiles in as wide receiver 1. That's one of the blind spots in this model specifically. It doesn't really capture the essence of guys leaving, of guys seeing additional or expecting to see additional targets. So CeeDee Lamb's a risky pick, but hey, that's the title of the show. We're betting on upside here. Okay, DJ Moore slipping a little bit. I think if DJ Moore slips to me, I got to take him. Same with Kyle Pitts. If Kyle Pitts slips to us, we're going to take him as well. And then if Alvin Kamara slips to us, we're taking him. Where's Kamara on our list? Pretty sure Kamara is like very high. Yeah, Kamara, our 5th player. Come on. I mean, people are still discounting Kamara because, oh, maybe he gets suspended. I don't know. If you follow Dave Davenport on Twitter, you can kind of bet on it's more likely that Alvin Kamara doesn't see a suspension than he does see a suspension. Like, let's put that probability at, let's say, a 60% probability that he doesn't get suspended and a 40% probability that he does get suspended. And if he does get suspended, it should be about a 6-game suspension. So if we can get Alvin Kamara at this significant of a discount where I can be drafting him at the 3-4 turn, I'm going to be taking as much Alvin Kamara that I can while he is still discounted. And just as we are speaking about him, they both fall to us. Taking the 2 top guys on the board. Again, this is just a bet on pure upside. Alvin Kamara is just a huge, huge upside pick here. It's incredible that we're able to get him at such a discount all the way at the 3-4 turn. The upside scenario for Alvin Kamara, he doesn't get suspended at all. He plays a full season. The Saints actually have a pretty high-powered offense with all these players coming. I also do want to be drafting Michael Thomas in this draft because we have Alvin Kamara just for that correlation that we're going to be targeting. I know that the Saints are playing the Eagles in Week 17, and that's going to be in Philadelphia, so it might not be the best weather conditions. But hey, we're betting on an upside scenario. Maybe it's a clear day that day. Super hard or almost, let's say, impossible to predict what the weather is going to be like on that day, but it's obviously going to be cold. But James can play in cold weather. I know he played in Tampa. He played at Florida State, so he's not used to it. But he's an NFL quarterback. He's been in the NFL for quite a while now, so he's used to that sort of thing. But Kyle Pitts, let's talk a little bit about Kyle Pitts. It's absolutely incredible that Kyle Pitts isn't being valued higher than he is right now. I know he's being valued super, super highly in Dynasty. I even see him being drafted at like the 1-2 turn in non-tight end premium Dynasty leagues. And then in tight end premium Dynasty leagues, he's like an elite asset where he's being drafted in like the middle of the 1st round, just based on consensus ADP. And the fact that when we're like drafting these teams, when we're drafting redraft and best ball teams, we kind of want to take advantage of the inefficiencies in the market in terms of players being drafted super highly in Dynasty, but like 3 or 4 rounds later in best ball / redraft, and kind of vice versa as well. So the fact that Kyle Pitts goes so early in Dynasty leagues kind of goes to show how talented fantasy football analysts view him. It goes to show how talented of a player Kyle Pitts really is. I mean, Jax Falcone, he does a anatomy of a top position, in this case, tight end, anatomy of a top dynasty tight end in fantasy football. And Kyle Pitts hits all of the marks, and he passed his freshman test with flying colors. He's an incredible player, an incredible talent. And Marcus Mariota, he will be the starter for the Atlanta Falcons week 1. Marcus Mariota back at Tennessee, he had Delaney Walker as his tight end. Delaney Walker finished as a top 3 tight end, I want to say twice. Maybe it's only once, but I know at least once with Marcus Mariota at quarterback. Marcus Mariota loves targeting the tight end position. Kyle Pitts is a better, more generational player than Delaney Walker. Kyle Pitts will see regression to the mean in the touchdown department. He only scored 1 touchdown last season. He had 1,000 receiving yards as a tight end, as a rookie. Absolutely incredible. And so I am making the bet that Kyle Pitts, huge upside bet here, that Kyle Pitts becomes a league winner this season. I know that term is thrown around a lot these days, but I truly do believe Kyle Pitts can really be a difference maker at the tight end position, especially in these best ball streets. What we're looking for is that elite tight end that can differentiate your team, because you have to start a tight end. When I was analyzing the top Best Ball Mania teams from last season, like I want to say like 60, maybe 55% of the top 5 teams in the 5 best ball tournaments had an elite tight end. They had either Travis Kelce, who exploded in week 16, or Mark Andrews, who exploded down the stretch last season with Tyler Huntley at quarterback. So I'm betting that Kyle Pitts can be that guy this season that just explodes and really becomes a game-changing player in the tight end position. We're looking for wide receiver numbers in the tight end position. That's exactly what Kyle Pitts can offer us. But okay, back to the draft. I think we're going to continue to go wide receiver here unless... So David Montgomery is pretty high up on our board. I think he's the top player available. All these guys have been taken. Yes. David Montgomery, Chris Godwin. Okay, I really like Chris Godwin here as well. Upside plays. Hey, upside plays. This is what I'm talking about. Chris Godwin's another injured player, or I guess he would be the first injured player on this team. Chris Godwin. Okay, I'm not saying Broncos. Okay. Chris Godwin is going to be a part of maybe the highest scoring offense, the best offense in the NFL. There is a chance that he plays week 1. If he doesn't, maybe he misses the first 4 games of the season. But we're really betting on these guys to be healthy down the stretch. And if Chris Godwin is healthy down the stretch, he's going to put up an insane amount of points. Tom Brady, I have full faith in him to just absolutely air out the ball this year. He threw the ball, I think, 600 times last season. I expect that number to only go up. I have kind of a sick feeling that this might be Tom Brady's last year. Okay, 1 second. Patrick Mahomes kind of slid. Okay. I can't pass on Patrick Mahomes all the way back here in the 5th round. And then I want to stack him with... am I going to miss on Michael Thomas probably? Yeah, I can't pass on Chris Godwin. Okay. Yeah, I passed on Rashad Bateman on who's the top of the board there. But, I mean, I like Rashad Bateman as a player. It's hard for me to see the upside case for him. He's already priced so highly. So, okay, here it is. Like, this is one of our discussions. Godwin versus Bateman. That was the decision point right here. That's the upside versus safe pick, because Rashad Bateman should be this breakout player. He is the clear wide receiver 1 on the Baltimore Ravens. He should profile in for at least 100 targets. I think Hollywood Brown had like 130, 140, maybe even more than that. Well over 130 targets last year. And so Rashad, like, we're assuming that number of targets should just slide right back into Rashad Bateman's lap. Okay, let's say he sees those 130 targets. I don't know. I mean, Hollywood Brown saw those same 130 targets, and he only finished as the wide receiver like 22, I want to say. Not even close to a wide receiver 1. Whereas when Chris Godwin's on the field, we've seen what he can be. We've seen the volume that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers pass at. the Baltimore Ravens are going to run the ball. That's their bread and butter. That's their, what's the word? That's their identity as a football team. They run the ball. That's why they have guys like J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards. They brought in Tyler Beatty. They still have Tyson Williams, I believe. They have guys that they picked up Mike Davis. They have a stout offensive line. They play a ton of 2 tight end sets. Kai's Perlman and I talked about this on the podcast 2 days ago. Nick Boyle is still there. Nick Boyle is just an extra offensive lineman, and he will most likely be the tight end 2, with Mark Andrews being the tight end 1. They're going to run the ball a ton. I think way more than they did last season, because they didn't have Lamar. They didn't have any running backs. They had no one to run the ball for them, so they had to throw last year. We're going to see a very large regression to the mean for the Baltimore Ravens in terms of play splits. And I think the Baltimore Ravens just go back to their bread and butter. And what does that do for Rashad Bateman? It shrinks his target volume. He may still see an elite target share in terms of like a 25% target share. But that's a smaller pie that he's taking a bite out of. Whereas Chris Godwin, they should see 700 pass attempts this year. And even if Chris Godwin misses the first 4 weeks, once he comes back healthy, he's just going to explode. Tom Brady loves Chris Godwin. He's just going to continue to just pepper him with targets. So love the receiver room. Tons and tons of upside. We got Patrick Mahomes. He slipped all the way to the 5-6 turn. I mean, when I was first doing these Best Ball Mania drafts, he was being drafted in like the early 4th, I want to say. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be trying to match Patrick Mahomes with some of these back-end wide receivers on the Kansas City Chiefs. Hopefully Sky Moore. I haven't been drafting any Marquez Valdes-Scantling, but I've kind of turned my head back towards him just because Marquez Valdes-Scantling is that spike week type of player. He just runs sprints down the field. He gets open. He just hasn't been able to really catch the ball back when he was on Green Bay. But maybe he just needed a little change of scenery. He can still take the top off of a defense. So if Marquez Valdes-Scantling falls to us in like the 10th round, like, sure, we'll take a flyer on him. He possesses that upside that we're looking for. Maybe in week 17 when they're playing the Denver Broncos, okay, we're back on the clock. Okay. Marquez Valdes-Scantling is here. Okay, Michael Thomas already went. I don't want Alan Lazard. Miles Sanders. I don't love Miles Sanders. Fuck it. We'll take Marquez Valdes-Scantling just because we were just talking about him, and I guess he's here. Screw it. Give me Rashad Penny. Upside plays, boys. Upside plays. That's what we're doing. I know it's a little bit of a reach on ADO and Rashad Penny, but we know what Miles Sanders is. I expect the Eagles to pass the ball more this season. That means not as large of a chunk of the pie that Miles Sanders can be taking a bite out of. I have drafted Miles Sanders plenty of times in years past. Like, sure, like he's a starting running back in the NFL. I think Kenneth Gainwell might start to emerge a little bit more in that offense. Miles Sanders should see like a regression in terms of touchdowns, so he should score more touchdowns this year. He's an explosive player, sure, but he's more of that safe pick. He's that safe pick we're talking about. We're talking pure upside here. Pure upside. And Rashad Penny is that pure upside that we're looking for. Rashad Penny down the stretch last year, in the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season, of the 2021 NFL season, take a guess who the running back one was. The running back one out of all running backs. Not an RB1, but the RB1. Well, if you guessed Rashad Penny, then you are correct. So the fact that we can get him in the 8th round, there are reports saying that he's going to be the lead dog. I have a decent amount of Kenneth Walker in these drafts, just because I had a little bit of rookie fever. I like Kenneth Walker as a player, and Rashad Penny's never been able to stay healthy. So this is a little arbitrage against my own portfolio. I have Rashad Penny, I have a bunch of Kenneth Walker. So now I'm hedging that bet on Kenneth Walker with some Rashad Penny, because when we're drafting a ton of these different teams, we want to have a little variety in terms of the different upside scenarios which we're looking for. So we see the upside scenario with Kenneth Walker. He immediately profiles in as an RB1, so Ken Walker just went at the back end of the round. We know what Ken Walker what he can be if Rashad Penny were to go down, and it's a pretty likely bet that Rashad Penny does go down just because he's never been able to stay healthy during the season. But in the unlikely scenario that Rashad Penny doesn't get hurt and he does play a full season, oh, I'm excited for Rashad Penny this season, boys. Rashad Penny is going to see a full workload of 20-plus carries. Rashad Penny is going to see just like the Chris Carson treatment in years past. And if you can get Chris Carson in the 8th round, I love it. I love it. And Rashad Penny, we've seen what he can do when he's on the field. He's not too different of a player from Chris Carson, and they're both injury prone. So, I mean, Chris Carson, when he was actually playing, when he was healthy, he would sustain like a full workload throughout the whole season. He stayed healthy. It's just really unfortunate what's happened to Chris Carson. I've seen some like pictures of like what Chris Carson is kind of going through right now. He has like a metal plate in the top half of his spine, and that shit does not look good. I was talking with my mom. My mom's a nurse, and she said like people who get like that surgery to get that plate in their neck, that's for people who are like 50, 40, 50, 60 years old. And people who are like not playing football, that's for sure. So hats off to Chris Carson. I've been a huge fan of Chris Carson ever since he came to the league. I think he came in as like a 7th rounder, and he immediately made a name for himself in the NFL. I've loved watching the player. He's super fun to watch. So best wishes out to Chris Carson out there. But here's to hoping that Rashad Penny can kind of have that Chris Carson-esque season. But kind of back to the topic of Rashad Penny, Pete Carroll just loves to run the ball. Like that man he will do everything in his power just to pound the rock. So because of that, just pure desire. So like Pete Carroll doesn't even want a quarterback right now. He's like, yeah, let's throw Geno Smith, Drew Lock out there. Just because like he doesn't care who's going to be throwing the ball. All he wants to do is run the ball. So Rashad Penny, easy 25 carries a week, easy 5 targets. I wanted Dak Prescott. Okay. Hopefully Derek Carr makes it to us. Hopefully Morris, A.M. Morris 14 passed on Derek Carr and goes Aaron Rodgers just so we can stack Derek Carr with Devontae Adams. I am not a fan of Kenny G. Kenny Golladay, that is a gross pick. Very, very gross. But I do like some Derek Carr stacked with Devontae Adams. I think if I can get Derek Carr, okay, we do get Derek Carr. Let's draft us some Derek Carr. We have the the AFC West quarterbacks. That is beautiful to see. I like all 3 of these guys. I'm going to make the bet with Cordero Patterson. I'm just going to continue drafting Cordero Patterson. I mean, I can get an RB1 for his team in the 10th round. I mean, this is why we're doing this 0 RB strategy, because the market doesn't price Cordero Patterson based off his fantasy output last season. All of the analytics that I've looked at say the most predictive variable in terms of who should produce in the following season is the statistical output that a player had last season. Cordero Patterson was the RB8 last year. The fact that we can get him in the 10th round is just a pure market inefficiency. I will be drafting as much Cordero Patterson as I can, because the only other guy that's really looking to take away work from Cordero Patterson is Tyler Algier. The Falcons waited until the 5th round to draft a running back. Like, yeah, okay, maybe Tyler Algier is actually a good player and will take like 15 carries a game away from Cordell Patterson. Didn't Mike Davis do that last year? I mean, I see Tyler Algier to be almost like a perfect corollary, a perfect what's the word? Like a carbon copy. Tyler Algier is a carbon copy of Mike Davis. Has a little bit of burst, a little bit of speed, big body, can bowl people over. And he's going to get like some decent amount of work, but he's going to run in between the tackles. I expect Cordell Patterson to score the touchdowns. Cordell Patterson will see the targets. He's a wide receiver. He was a first-round wide receiver back like in like 1980 or something. Jokes, guys. I know Cordell Patterson didn't get drafted that far long ago, but he's 31. He's a little bit older. Oh, touched my Corona yet, so cheers, guys. Always on vacation. Maybe that'll be the motto for the show. Always on vacation. Whenever we're drafting, we're always on vacation. My RB room is just pure upside. Look at that. I didn't even take a running back in the first 2 rounds, and I took Devontae. I started off my draft with just 2 elite receivers: Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb. If you want to argue CeeDee Lamb is an elite receiver, hit me up in my DMs. My Twitter handle is right there. Let's go. Let's talk CeeDee Lamb. Chris Godwin, pick 61. Come on, mate. Okay, maybe he doesn't. We're already assuming the fact that Chris Godwin falls to the 6th, 7th round. We're already assuming that Chris Godwin isn't going to be healthy to start the season. I don't know how sure of a bet that is. I've seen videos of Chris Godwin running routes. Not running routes, sorry. He was making 45-degree cuts back in April. That was what? He tore his ACL in November. So April is 6 months, and then the start of the season is 10 months. Oh, I'm betting on Chris Godwin to be back week 1. And Chris Godwin week 1 with Tom Brady's 700 pass attempts this year. Let's go. Give me all the Chris Godwin. I was hoping that Rashad White would fall to us too. It's whatever. J-Mo. So Jameson Williams league winner. That's another hashtag for our show this year. He was the answer to the giveaway I did last week, but don't get him in this draft. That's okay. We already have a ton of Jameson Williams. I will continue to draft Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams is the definition of an upside play, just because we expect him to start the year on the pup. I think he tore his ACL back in January. So unlike Chris Godwin, he is only going to be 8 months removed from his torn ACL, whereas Chris Godwin will be 10 months removed. So those 2 months make a pretty big difference. So we expect Jameson Williams to be back after, like, say, after being on the pup. So he'll be back around week 7. So love Jameson Williams this year. I've been taking him everywhere that I can. Back to the draft. Okay. Isaiah Spiller is going to be our pick here if he falls. I want to go Isaiah Spiller. It's funny that I was talking about Jarvis Landry earlier as like one of those guys that profiles in as like a consistent. No. They both went, guys. They both went. That is so unfortunate. I don't love it here. Give me Jamison Crowder. I don't love it, guys. I don't love it. I actually don't have any Jalen Tolbert. He should be the starter in Dallas, and there's going to be a ton of targets up for grabs. Give me some Jalen Tolbert. And if we're on the vibe of rookie wide receiver, I want Devontae Parker too, though. Okay, give me Devontae Parker. We took the rookie. We'll only go one rookie here. Upside, guys. Upside. Jalen Tolbert. I kind of regret that pick. I think it's okay because we have the correlation with CD Lamb. So maybe like Jalen Tolbert does something incredible. I don't know. I actually don't expect too much out of Jalen Tolbert. I actually really, really don't like that I made that pick. But I don't have any Jalen Tolbert. Actually, that's my first share of Jalen Tolbert so far. But I have seen like a lot of reports that he's going to be the week 1 starter. Maybe he's something. He played at South Alabama last year. He had like a 45% college dominator rating. He's a big-bodied player. He looks a little bit like Michael Gallup, and he's going to be replacing Michael Gallup to start the year. There's reports even that Michael Gallup like waited to have surgery, so Michael Gallup might not even play like the first like full half of the year. So Jalen Tolbert should see targets. High-powered Dallas offense, kind of like we were talking about CeeDee Lamb earlier. So maybe Jalen Tolbert something. I don't know. Talk a little bit about Devontae Parker. Devontae Parker is going to be the wide receiver 1 of the Patriots. I know there's a lot of talk about like, okay, Jacoby Myers is like a huge value down here in draft, streaming value, right? Jacoby Myers in best ball, I don't really love that much. I know like he should see regression to the mean in terms of touchdowns, just because like he saw the most receiving yards of an NFL player, he saw the most receiving yards in NFL history before scoring his first touchdown. So like we should see like a little bit of regression in mean in Jacoby Myers in terms of scoring touchdowns. But he still profiles in as like that consistent player, that consistent like 10, 12 fantasy points, especially in this half PPR format. Like his value goes down a little bit. Whereas Devontae Parker is a flanker. He plays on the outside. He goes in and he goes for those deep balls, those deep passes. He runs down the field. He wins those jump ball passes. He wins in the red zone. The Patriots really wanted Devontae Parker. They went out and got him. They paid him like $10 million. The Patriots actually have the most expensive receiving room in the entire NFL. And I saw a stat. Mac Jones and Joe Burrow had the exact same amount of pass attempts last season. I think Joe Burrow had 1 more pass attempt than Mac Jones. Mac Jones had more air yards than Joe Burrow last year. What? That's insane, right? That's absolutely nuts. And Mac Jones, like we're talking about Mac Jones being like this, he's a dump off, short to intermediate type of player. But Joe Burrow is this gunslinger, throws it down the field. Incredible, right? I don't know where these narratives are really coming from. Like I know like when we look at the big games, Joe Burrow is slinging the ball. He's firing it deep to T. Higgins, firing it deep to Jamar Chase. Maybe I missed it because like I kind of agreed with that narrative. I thought that narrative was true. But when we look at the statistics, like the numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie. And the numbers is the analytics. Like this is where we can find our edge in these drafts. Mac Jones threw just as many air yards as Joe Burrow. Devontae Parker is that flanker. Devontae Parker has seen spike weeks in years past. He has seen games where he scores like 2 touchdowns here and there. So I like Devontae Parker as a bet down here in the 12th round. So we are 9 picks away. If Nyheim Hines, like I'm probably cursing myself again by doing this. If Nyheim Hines falls to us, I've seen some coach speak. I know it's not always great to trust coach speak, but there's talk like Nyheim Hines should see a ton of work. Who's the head coach over there? Is it Frank Reich still? Frank Reich said, if you are playing in a fantasy football league this year, draft Nyheim Hines. Okay, if it's the 13th round, like, screw it. I'll take some Nyheim Hines. I like Nyheim Hines as a player. There goes our Nyheim Hines bet. Okay, let's have some Week 17 correlation with some Albert O. Albert O is one of these guys who just like, he's an intriguing player. He saw like one of the highest yards per route run for tight ends last year. Super, super athletic player. The Broncos felt comfortable trading away Noah Fant. I think they wanted to trade away Noah Fant so that they can get the ball to Albert O more. They understood how the league viewed Noah Fant as kind of this more elite sort of tight end. But it speaks to me a little bit that the Broncos front office said, let's try everything in our power to trade Noah Fant. Like, let's include him. I don't think that was a sticking point for them. I bet you it was kind of a selling point for them. Like, let's include Noah Fant in our trade to Seattle. I have Cordero, so I can't bet on Tyler Algier. Give me Kenneth Gainwell. Okay, that's my first share of Kenneth Gainwell too. Yeah, Albert O. Albert O has that Week 17 correlation with Marquez Valdes-Scantling and Patrick Mahomes, so that's kind of like what we're looking for. Also, Albert O is this super high upside pick, which I want guys in super high-powered offenses. I have players galore in the AFC West. This is actually a beautiful AFC West team. It's actually kind of funny also because I passed on Miles Sanders earlier to take Rashad Penny, and now I'm taking the guy who I think is a little bit mispriced, and that's Kenneth Gainwell. Kenneth Gainwell, obviously, I know he loses a ton of value in this format because he profiles in as more of that satellite receiving back. So obviously receptions aren't as important, but Kenneth Gainwell slowly started to earn the trust of the Eagles, of Nick Sirianni, of the Eagles coaching staff. And he was getting a significant amount of touches as a rookie. He even saw some goal line touches. I like Kenneth Gainwell to kind of take the step this year. I loved Kenneth Gainwell coming out of college. He played at Memphis. He actually was the starting running back at Memphis while Antonio Gibson was there. That's why Antonio Gibson was still learning the running back position. That's because Kenneth Gainwell was the starting running back there. Kenneth Gainwell's college film is just incredible. If you have never seen it before, go and watch Kenneth Gainwell, Memphis running back highlights. He's just a very electric, exciting player to watch. So give me some Kenneth Gainwell down here. I'm probably going to be taking a fifth running back just because, like, we'll see. We'll see how the room falls to us. I'm not going to be forcing anything here. But, I like Darrell. I like Darrell Williams if he continues to fall. I like James Robinson as well if he continues to fall as well. Actually, crazy thing I saw today. James Robinson was the 5th highest rated running back in Madden 23. Put some respect on my name, on my boy James Robinson's name. Jeez, RB53. James Robinson, right, Brindy? Yep. If he falls here, I'll take James Robinson. I know it's a super unlikely bet that James Robinson starts off the season healthy. He tore his Achilles last year. But hey, people are drafting Cam Akers in the 4th round. Why not James Robinson? This is another one of those things, like, there's this massive gap. I know James Robinson tore his Achilles like 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 5 months after Cam Akers. Cam Akers returned in 5 months. James Robinson has a whole offseason to get right, get healthy. So, hey, screw it. I mean, we know who's the head coach over there? What's his name? Old Eagles head coach. Why am I blanking on it right now? He's won a Super Bowl. The heck is his name? I wish I had Kai's with me right here. Kai's would know it straight off the top of his head just because he hated how much this guy would talk about, Miles Sanders is the guy, and then he would just make it a committee approach. Why the heck can I not think of his name? I'm really blanking on it, guys. I'm sorry. I can see his face. I can see him wearing that visor. His gray tips just popping off the top. Whatever. Can't think of his name right now. But he loves his running back by committees. I'm going to look it up. This is pissing me off. I am PO'd. Let me see. What is his name? Brindy, what is his name? No idea. He's the Jaguars head coach right now. Doug Peterson. I didn't even have to look it up. Damn it. Why did I not think of that earlier? Yeah, Doug Peterson. He loves his running back by committees. Like, we know Travis Etienne's going to be the guy. We know that. But James Robinson is such a good football player. He's so good. Give me James Robinson at discount. I will be taking him all the time. Give me James Robinson at discount. Marlon Mack is super interesting too. Actually, give me the healthy guy. I just hyped up James Robinson, but both these guys in my queue, both of them coming off torn Achilles. Yeah. I have some James Robinson already. I have no Marlon Mack. That's my only key. That's my only decision maker right there. Give me Buddy Campbell. Buddy. Yeah. Paris Campbell, I cannot. You can't get me off Paris Campbell. I mean, I don't know why I keep going back to him every single year. I fall into this trap of drafting Paris Campbell. I mean, but it's the 16th round. Like, nobody really expects him to break out anymore just because of the way he's priced right now. Let's say he does, though. He is insanely athletic. I will be taking Paris Campbell down here. I have been taking Paris Campbell at the end of these best ball drafts, just because we've seen when he's on the field, when he's healthy, what he can do. He's so dynamic, so athletic, but this boy just can't stay healthy. If this is the year, I think this might be the year. I say this every year, but I think this might be the year. I like Paris Campbell. Give me some Paris Campbell. Whatever. We're 18 picks away. At our next turn, it's going to be our last picks. So we got enough running backs. We got 5. I'm going to be going wide receiver with our last two picks just to finish out the room. I don't have any bye issues, right? Yep, no bye issues. So if Pickens falls, obviously we'll take him. I don't really want – okay, Pickens gets taken. Give me Julio. I have Jalen Tolbert. Wandale is interesting to me. AJ Green, Devin Duvernay. I have enough David Bell. I don't really want him anymore. Isaiah McKenzie. No, I don't want Odell. Don't want James. Zay is interesting. What's his projection? 29. Maybe something. I don't know. Brian Edwards. Nope. Brent. No, I think if I'm taking a guy, I'm taking my guy Laviska Shenault down here. Laviska. Ooh, what's Randall Cobb? Okay, not bad. Okay. Devin Duvernay taking George Pickens. Okay, this is my finalized list for the last guy I want to be taking off the board. Laviska Shenault, definitely going to be one of them. I like Laviska Shenault over Zay Jones. Actually, let me just take Zay Jones off this list. I don't even want Zay Jones. I mean, okay, like Laviska Shenault, people have lost faith in him. He's like the man is still only 23, 24 years old. I really, really liked Laviska Shenault coming out of college. He just profiled him as a super dynamic player. When I watched him his rookie season, like, this guy does not go down easily. It's really hard for NFL players to tackle him. So when he has the ball in his hands, like, he's super dynamic. He makes plays. I think he needs to work on his route running ability just a little bit, work on his hands. Maybe all like 100 targets last year from Trevor Lawrence. We know Trevor Lawrence was just absolutely terrible last year. Like, historical terrible season from a first-round rookie quarterback, actually from any quarterback playing the full season. I think Doug Peterson being there is really, really going to help Trevor Lawrence's development. So give me all of the Laviska Shenault at cost this year. Julio Jones was another guy that I was targeting. Julio Jones, I think the second that he gets signed, he is going to skyrocket in ADP. He's going to go from the 17th round to maybe like the 13th round. Just that name value carries a lot of weight. And when he's on the field, he's just a very talented player. These last two guys, if AJ Green falls, obviously I'm going to take AJ Green. AJ Green is another one of those guys who he saw like 95 targets last year from Kyler Murray. He's in a super explosive offense. There's a little bit of correlation between AJ Green and Kyle Pitts. So maybe something's there. But AJ Green should see a decent amount of targets, especially at the beginning of the year. D-Hop's on suspension. AJ Green's going to see a lot of targets. So what the hell? Give me some AJ Green. AJ Green, Laviska Shenault. Last two picks. Lock them in. Just Fetty Wub. Don't take either of my guys, boy. Fetty Wub. Man, I love this team. This team is so good. AJ Green, LaBisca Chenault. There, our draft is done. Cool. That concludes our draft. Talked a lot about upside versus safety picks. And as you can see, our team is just riddled with upside. Upside players left and right. Maybe all of these guys bust, and this team sucks. That is very possible. I mean, we're playing fantasy football. We're playing a game of chance, a game of probabilities here. And I will take the bet on all of these guys' probabilities to explode. So in this very unique scenario where all of these guys hits, we win $1 million. Good for us. I'm more betting on my process. I love my process. Hope you guys love it too. But that kind of concludes tonight's show. This was a ton of fun. I always have a ton of fun doing this with you guys. If you guys could give the Undroppables a follow at the Undroppables on Twitter, subscribe to the YouTube page, follow on Twitch, any and all of the above. Do the same for my Twitter at Joshua J. Hyun. Would truly, truly appreciate that from all you guys. I'm going to continue to be providing as much content as possible. I've taken a little bit of a step back recently just because focusing a little bit more on my job at Capital One. But I still try to spend as much time as possible after work hours on building my fantasy football models. I've actually come up with a new methodology for my next iteration of a model. I didn't love my most recent model. Like it kind of told us a little bit in terms of like what variables are predictive for total fantasy football output in the next season. It actually told us that broken tackles from the running back position are very, very valuable. So I've been looking a little bit more at that. Because of that analysis, I think Javonte Williams and Ramondre Stevenson are going to outperform their ADP this year. So keep an eye on those guys in your drafts. But my methodology for my newest model is going to look a little bit like focusing on anomaly detection, kind of the same way that manufacturing companies or oil and gas companies look for anomalies in their pipes or their manufacturing process. I want to build a similar model that looks at fantasy football players that way or NFL players that way, because the guys that are winning your leagues are straight anomalies. Like Christian McCaffrey, a pure enigma of a fantasy football player, of an NFL player, of a football player. And because he's just a straight enigma, a straight outlier, an anomaly, I want to see if there's trends in the data or something in the data that we can identify as there's a higher percent probability that this player is an anomaly versus this one. And I want to have that understanding, build that intuition for that anomaly detection. But that model is still in development. I hope to get that model out prior to the beginning of the NFL season. I will bet on myself and say that I will have that out. And when I do produce that model, the entirety of that will be available in the Undroppables Patreon. So go ahead and join the Undroppables Patreon today for like $1. So cheap. I don't know why you wouldn't join it. You get access to so much fantasy football information, betting information. They're basically printing money over there at the Undroppables betting Discord. So I highly recommend just to check it out. It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun there. But okay, let's see. Let's look at this room. Can I look at the entirety of the league? No. Oh, view full draft. Whatever. All right, that concludes our show. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Truly grateful that you guys enjoy this show. I enjoy doing it as much as you guys enjoy consuming this content. So I will be back here tomorrow night with another Best Ball Mania draft. I misled you guys saying that the Puppy 3 was available already. It is not available. It is actually dropping on August 1st. and I will 100% doing a Puppy 3 draft on a live stream on August 1st. You guys can be doing the same. Use the code Undroppables when you sign up, and you'll get 100% first deposit match when you sign up for a new account. But okay, that concludes our show. Peace out. Have a good night.